If you've ever struggled with focus and getting stuff done, this is a conversation for you. Today, we move into the quiet architecture of focus, the discipline of flow, and the private rituals that turn intention into finished work. I'm with Molly Murray, founder of Flowmagic. She's an editor, bookseller, creative mentor, and one of the most quietly influential figures in Scotland's literary circles, including the Pushcart Prize stage. Molly is also a hypnotherapist, an energy healer, and a practitioner of rapid transformational growth. It's a conversation about the mind, the quiet power of showing up for your own work and getting things done. Let's meet Molly now. Hello, Molly. Welcome to the show. And we're going to talk about flow, achievement, and success this week. What's your take on flow? How would you describe it for the audience so they can understand?
Hi, Carl. Thank you so much for having me. So, the flow state is when you are in an alpha or theta state of brain waves, and your mind, your body, your subconscious mind, um, and your energy field are all working together, focused on the same amazing activity to create something beautiful and powerful.
Oh, so when you're in that state, for example, I've noticed when I'm doing anything creative, I kind of become subconscious and unaware of my surroundings. Is that kind of what you're saying there?
Absolutely, yes. So, when we're engaged in a rational activity and you're not in flow state, you're very focused, maybe you're working on math problems or something, you're thinking through it, you're very aware of everything. If you're in a coffee shop, it could be really annoying. But say if you are in your front yard doing it and you can relax, and maybe you're writing, then you are able to use the skill and the knowledge that you have already grown over the years. You're able to use all of the experience that you've developed, and your subconscious mind naturally comes into play. You'll slip into this alpha or theta state of mind because you're so relaxed. And that's when your subconscious comes in and brings this
Right.
wealth of information, just a depth of knowledge.
So a lot of people, when you look around the internet these days, there's a lot of info. It depends on whether the algorithm finds you and what you've been looking for, but there's a lot to do with success, manifestation, and how you think. Now, for me, that first thread, the trigger, seems to be a conscious thing where people say if you focus on something positively, you go into flow state. Is flow state actually what they're talking about there, or is it something else?
When people are talking about manifestation, I find that there's a lot of toxic positivity that they can throw around.
Mm.
And people are often thinking of it with that prefrontal cortex and in a state of maybe even survival mode. And then they can't go into that flow state. And so, even though they may kind of
Oh,
equate
mm.
manifestation with they may think they're in flow, if they are kind of thinking of it too rationally and as some kind of um problem that they have to figure out, instead of allowing themselves to slip into relaxation, into bliss, into something maybe like more of a dance, then they're able to enter that flow state.
And that's interesting because what you're, I think, basically saying is if you stay in the conscious side and try and find a trigger, you'll just be there forever trying to find triggers. Hence, you
Mhm.
end up online looking for all these tricks and tips to go, where's the magic door? How can I get into that state where I can achieve X, Y, Z? It's almost, therefore, like we don't know, we being the conscious us, how to get there. It just happens. So the next question, I guess, on that basis is what is the actual trigger for achieving the flow state so that we can then achieve? How do most
Mm.
people find it? It's a difficult question, maybe, and quite deep.
No, I love this question because it's something that I've studied for so long. Because someone can slip into it maybe when they're washing dishes or driving the car, taking a walk or a shower and just be, they're wondering, where did this idea come from? Something
Mm.
amazing comes in. But then when they're consciously trying to solve a problem, they can't get into that place. And so I use my own modality is Flowmagic Reverie. It's a form of hypnotherapy to help people go into that alpha or theta state to create that peak state of creativity so that they are there in that flow state. Um, and often this is why if you are engaged in, if you are finding the answer to a problem that you've been working on for a while, maybe you're writing a book or working on a project, creating a new business,
Yeah.
best thing you can do is to relax, go lie in a hammock or go take a walk. And that's when the answers will come to you because that's when you are able to enter into that flow state.
I'm thinking now of Bruce Lee. That famous sentence he said, "Don't think, feel."
Mm,
And what he's probably saying there is, don't concentrate consciously on what you want. Go into that state and feel it. And it's relevant because a lot of performers are kind of not there when they're on the stage as well. So I can imagine when he was in his flow of fighting and doing all of those moves, he wasn't kind of there. He was subconsciously doing it. It was the other Bruce that led him through those paths, you know. Um,
mhm.
and I've noticed similar things when I'm doing writing or designing a website or anything, even exercising. It
Mhm.
puts you in that flow state. And before you know it, you look at the clock and go, have I really been exercising for an hour and a half? It's gone so quick. Time almost doesn't exist as well.
Oh, that's one of my favorite phrases. That's when you're in that beautiful flow state. Um, or when you're like running and you feel the endorphins just carrying you. Um,
Beautiful.
yeah, it's like time slips away. I always think of um if you maybe you're traveling somewhere beautiful, like you're in Italy on a beach
Yes.
and you
Yep.
just enter this perfect moment where you're engaged, all of your senses are engaged, and you are just creating this life memory that you remember your entire life. You look back on as a place of happiness. You don't know, it could last 10 minutes or an hour or 2 hours. You could be there a whole day. Um, but we're in that beautiful eternal state. And the Greeks had a word for this, kairos. It's eternal.
Kairos.
Hmm.
Kairos.
Yes, that's
Okay.
right.
Yep.
And so they had different kinds of time. There was chronos, which is chronological time, so that's time by the clock. Um, there's another kind of time. I can't remember the name of this one, but this is let's see, I think it's when you're actually in heaven, and then the one that we experience here on earth is kairos, and it's that
Right.
beautiful flow state.
Okay.
Mhm.
And that almost leads to the discussion. We said we'd do this on the world of work and business. So everyone knows at some point in their life, whom has worked in an office, that there are times when they are so unbelievably bored that time drags. Is that the entire direct opposite of flow state? I imagine so.
Oh, I think so because you're so focused on that moment in a very like rational logical way. You aren't able to get past, that kind of front of like, what is happening? Why
Yeah.
can't I get out of this? You're very much in that rational part of your mind. You have things annoying you from either side. The noises are present. It's not like you're engaged in delight, or you're
Mm.
not able to lose yourself. You're kind of fully at the mercy of those surrounding pressures.
One thing that I've always said, and obviously it's not practicable to do so, but I think senior managers in companies should be taught what you teach, to understand
Mhm.
how to get the best out of people. I mean, there's billions of management courses, and it's almost like they're trying to describe how to drive a car without being in one. And there's the
Mhm.
oxymoron. How do you get into the flow state to understand it so that you can make others do so? Um, because we know, I mean, we've all worked in different environments. There's always that one person that just cracks on and gets on with it, and they whiz through everything, and it's almost like they don't even know they're there. And then there's the others that don't focus. They're always outside having a cigarette, or at the food van. That's their most focusable thing. Um, and so on and so on. And the management are constantly trying to gel them all together and get them to go in the same direction. It's like herding cats in fog, I imagine, if you're in that position. So, from a business perspective, and leading on to the culture aspect in a moment, what's your experience and advice for those in senior roles to try and get a team to flow in the same direction?
This is something that I've always thought that managers should understand as well. And so much of it has to do with environment, creating an environment where people are comfortable, where they feel safe to express themselves. And so often, this is the absolute opposite of a corporate environment because corporate environments are all about control,
Yeah.
usually taking away delight, taking away freedom. Um, and that environment where people do feel safe to express themselves. And so I think that if corporate management could allow freedom, could allow space for comfort and delight and safety, then people would be able to focus and to slip into this so much more easily.
Mm,
I
mm.
think the person who is only able to feel comfortable outside with a cigarette would be so much better doing their work at home where they aren't, they're probably sitting at their desks unable to focus because of all the noise around them that is making, creating anxiety. They're worried about this, they're worried about that. They're not able to escape. But I think if they could work in a way, maybe with headphones, where the noise isn't really, really bothering them, maybe if they have like a darker, more quiet, sheltered space, then they could enter into that flow so much more easily. And then they wouldn't be looking for this outside substance for,
Stimulation.
relaxation and escape, that
Escape.
safety in essence.
It's something that some of the world's most famous companies have indeed trialed. I know that Google have, if I've heard correctly or read it somewhere, they have 20-minute rest zones where you can go and work in a very informal environment. Was it? There's other startups, isn't there, as well? IT companies rather that do that kind of thing. So, on one of your key subjects that you do teach is executive dysfunction and subconscious beliefs. Do you want to talk about that a little as well?
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, so that is a huge interest of mine because when people are trying to create flow in their lives, so often they come across creative blocks that hold them back from creating this flow, creating what they want to create. Um, and so these creative blocks are really executive dysfunction in action. And so to get into that state of flow, they need to work through the creative blocks. Now, creative blocks always come to us for a reason because they hold knowledge inside of them that we need to know to reach the goal we want to reach. So, for instance,
Excuse me.
oh, bless you. If someone wants to write a book or finish a project and they are encountering, procrastination, because I know that's something else we wanted to talk about.
Yep. Yep.
That procrastination is coming up to them because there's something they need to learn and to grow through in order to create that project. And once they sit with that, once they learn what that procrastination has to teach them, um, they'll find the key to create what they need to create.
That's
Um,
interesting because
yeah.
the blocks and the procrastination you said are necessary and useful, whereas our natural reaction is to go, why can I not think of this answer? I need success now. Um, and I think that's where most people are at risk of going off course because they then go and try to find the magic key, and end up on so many, especially with social media and the online world. They try to find
Mhm.
all of the solutions, and before they know it, they're doing other things and never achieve anything. It's like watching 28 different movies for 35 seconds. The story's lost. You don't know where you are.
My goodness, it makes me very just to think about it.
Yeah.
It's like completely separated from that state of flow and
Yeah.
being centered.
Mm.
And I think honestly, I think people at that point are afraid of failure. instead of that was something I had to grow through in my own journey to being an entrepreneur, is being like, failure is just a step towards success. So often
Absolutely.
we go out with the message that failure is an ending, that it means something about you and who you are and your
Perfect.
project. We come here with big dreams and big goals. And if you fail in the method, you want to reach it at a certain point. And if you see that you haven't and that that's a fail, to be like, oh, why try it all? I'll just go off and do this other thing. Or they'll be so afraid of facing that they don't, even go there to that point. And that,
Confidence goes with that as well,
oh, absolutely.
hand in
Yeah.
hand, aren't they?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
there's a manager that I had during my time as a corporate trainer, and he said to me, and I'm glad he understood what I meant. He did straight away. I didn't even need to explain what it was. He said, "What's your?" Because I was doing really well training them. What's your main technique? And I said, I get them to mess up as much as I can. There was
Mm,
there was no questions. He knew
mhm,
what I meant. And what I did mean was they dove into what they were doing. Um, it was talking with customers, not being scared of the customer who's been calling for 20, 30 years and understands their game inside out against a newbie that didn't. Um, and the rule was mess up as many times as you can, as much as you can, but only once.
mm,
Reflect, change, and continue. And they grew very, very quick, as opposed to the person that was scared of messing up
mhm,
and reflecting on something that hadn't happened yet. That's where the gonna do disease comes in, I think. We'll do that later. I'll hesitate. There's the hesitation again. Um, they just they were almost like Spartan 300. Just right, let's go for it. Let's see what happens.
mhm,
And there's a mirror with the world's greatest entrepreneurs that just they dive in, don't they? And
absolutely. I absolutely love that because then it becomes a game, it becomes fun. It can trigger that dopamine reaction where people are like, okay, we're going to go for this. And it's not complete shutdown because it's not the end when there's not a yes, or, it's something that they would have perceived as a fail in the past, because that's not the end and they can see past it. And once people can see past the fail, that removes the ceiling. And so they can go way past the mark that they were originally trying to hit.
and one thing that I always say now is in any situation, ask yourself one question: where's the win? There's
Mhm.
always a little win in there somewhere, a little tip, a little prize, even if something's gone wrong. You know, um, even if the car breaks down, where's
Mm.
where's the win? There's something we probably could have done better so that it didn't. Is there
I love
something we've
that.
learned? Anything like that.
Mhm.
Um, and it gets very deep. It really does.
Yeah, like you would never get to the depths of that because there's always more to learn about yourself and about the world. It's like a creative block when you go in. It's not the ending. You dive in and you find the gold hidden within, because that's what's going to help you get to the next level. It
And
is like that.
it's almost I personally I avoid looking ahead too much at all. In fact, and obviously I'm running the magazine and developing it and this channel as well on the side. People say, "What's your plan?" I say there isn't one. And the idea there is, it's almost like I'm walking through an orchard, a massive field. I know there's fruit there. I'm just going to keep walking. When I find something that looks good, I will stop and take the fruit. And there's no plan. And when there is no forward plan, and I think in X, Y, Z number of years, it has to be this good and this big and this successful. No, I simply look slightly back every so often and go, is it better than it was? And if the answer is yes, it is better than it was last month, and it's far better than it was last year, that's okay for me, week by week, even week by week, as opposed to,
That's
and it stops anxiety as well,
mhm.
you know?
And it's when you're able to get into a state of flow, walking through the orchard, none of these pressures coming in on you. You're able to just enjoy what you're doing and get into the process,
It's beautiful.
create something magical.
So, on this sacred time, Kairos, you said, I've got it written down here on the right. When
Mm.
waiting becomes wisdom, is that one of the sections in your training that you do? I'm interested to know how that's
Yes, yes.
trained.
So, well, for instance, I am a person with a lot of neurodiversity. I have ADHD, autism, severe TBI when I was younger. And so I had this ongoing anxiety about time. And I'm not alone because a lot of clients have had this as well. Should I be doing this, have achieved this goal by a certain time? Should I do this by a certain time? It's always like, I'm late, I'm late. You can feel the panic like
Mm.
start to mount, and so when I started doing rapid transformational therapy and studying flow, that's when I learned about Kairos and I learned how people can enter into Kairos. It's by entering into flow, and you realize there is no time that you're supposed to arrive. There is the time that you are, this beautiful present moment.
Ah, the
And
time
when
that you
you
are.
enter, yeah, when you enter into this moment, that's when you can create what you're here to create. And so the concept of kairos is really beautiful. So Greeks compared it to an archer pulling back the bow and letting the arrow go at a certain moment and hitting the target, the deer. Um, Now you have a lot of skill that goes into it. It's just like flow. You
Mm.
have so much skill and experience needed. You have to be able to tell what the wind pressure is. You have to be able to tell where the animal is,
Ah,
what your degree is. You have to have so much skill and strength that you've developed to pull back that arrow, have the experience to let it go. But there's also a little magic component that comes in that tells you when to let it go. And this is your intuition. And so your intuition is going to tell you that exact moment to let the arrow fly. That's, where it's going to hit the target. And that is like kairos. That is that moment. It's kind of like if you are on vacation, to go back to that beach in Italy, and you have an inkling that you need to be here at a certain time, and then you see dolphins going dancing in the sunlight or in the sunset, and it's the kind of thing you couldn't have planned. It just happened and it was magical and beautiful. You
synchro.
met someone and danced, and you just had this beautiful experience that maybe wasn't in your travel guide. It wasn't something you could have foreseen. You just followed all the steps to get there, followed your intuition that told you to be there at a certain time, and then, enjoyed this guitar player serenading you while you watched the dolphins in the sunset. And it was all like perfection. Um, so you plan what you can, you put your experience and your knowledge and your wisdom in order, and then you just have to follow this intuition. And then so that's being in kairos. It's being fully present in the moment, all your senses engaged with the here and now.
And it's like when people say, I'm so busy. And it makes you think, what does that actually mean? Because you can only do one task at any given moment. Busy in a person's perception, therefore, means my mind is too full of things that I'm not currently doing.
Absolutely right. That is so insightful. Yeah, that they're not able to receive anything, and it's cutting off that ability to receive anything new because they're so full with what they're focused on.
Mm, mm.
Mm.
And where did someone online said, it was on another podcast somewhere, time doesn't actually exist. It's just the it's just what you fill the now with that makes it look like it's passing. So it's a good point. It's a really good point.
Mhm.
Um, Go on. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say that when you look at the past with regret, it becomes like this bitterness, and when you look at the future with worry, it becomes anxiety.
Yeah.
So all we can do, all we have is this present moment. And
Perfect.
once you realize that, you can just be here, be now, and create with what you have. And if you aren't at that state of ability to create, yeah, you can always create something beautiful, even if it's not exactly what you'll be able to create in the future. You can work on those talents and skills that you'll need. But as long as you stay in the now and the present, you're always exactly where you need to be right now, if that makes sense. And it
Ab-
takes away that anxiety.
Absolute. And I've worked out that, and a lot of, again, podcasts and so on will say this, anxiety and stress are never now. They're always to do with the past or future.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and the problem is that the current present moment that doesn't contain those is so tiny, it's exceptionally hard to focus on. And we have this thing where we need to kind of teleport ahead to check whether something will be okay. um, like if we're going on holiday, we'll go, oh, will I miss the flight? Will I forget this? No, none of it's happened. And so
Mhm.
and so we're getting anxious, and the brain doesn't know, does it, if something's real or
Yeah.
not? So it's having the
Well,
experience.
mhm. Well, our brains, we're always running on neural pathways that we've created from past experiences. So if you have had an experience where you traveled with a lot of bumpiness, or you just went through some problems, you're always going to have that running in your mind that I'll have problems doing this. And then your mind creates more problems so that your life aligns with that neural pathway. And that's why it's so important to rewire your mind so that you don't think, so that you create new neural pathways for success, so that you can have a peaceful journey, so that your mind isn't constantly creating problems for the future.
Mm,
And
mm.
yeah, and so that's when you can kind of rewire the trauma from the past so that you can enjoy this present moment.
And tell me if I'm right or wrong here. Whenever you think of something stressful or even positive, your senses subconsciously, so you don't know it's happening, are instructed to find examples to do with that. So
Mhm.
so if you're anxious about something, your senses will have a radar turned on to find. If you're stressed about being late, everything will suddenly look like it's trying to make you late. There'll be
That's
things
absolutely right.
as if by magic.
It's, your reticular activating system, I think it's called the RAS. It's
Okay.
always looking for that same thing, and so what you look for, you'll find. It's like when you go out to find a green car and suddenly you see green cars everywhere.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
it's the exact same concept as manifestation.
Yes,
When
just thought
you
that.
are looking for 1,000 pounds, you'll find 1,000 pounds. If you're looking for a green car, you'll find it. If you're looking for trouble, you'll find the trouble. So when you kind of rewire your mind for success, for ease, for wealth, that's what you'll find. Because that is often going back to that toxic manifestation,
Yeah.
or just the parts that people often don't get about it is that they'll be trying so consciously, difficult, and so rationally to manifest something, and it feels so difficult. And that's because their mind is still stuck in a pattern of trauma that they got when they went through a hard experience in the past. And when they
Uh,
rewire it, because we have neuroplasticity, we have the ability to rewire our minds for success. So when you rewire that neural pathway, you are able to achieve the goal that you want to achieve.
and your brain literally, and this is what neuroplasticity means. It literally changes shape at that moment when you have a realization.
Hmm.
That's what it.
So
Am I right?
it's just amazing. So we've got like all these little neural pathways that it's like a computer code or like little roads in the brain. I like to think of them as little roads. And so our thoughts are going down these little neural path, can't talk,
You're.
these little neural pathways.
Yes.
And so when you rewire it, it's like, so it was wired to go, when you went through a hard period, maybe some trauma in the past, it was wired to go into this block, and your little car kept hitting that block. And so that was what your life always aligned with. And when you rewire your mind for a new pathway, it no longer goes there. It goes, there. So
Mm,
it's,
mm.
you kind of go around that block. Yeah.
And there's the tenet of genius, I guess. Back to the Bruce Lee statement things. It's like be like water. Your mind can be like that. It finds a way round. It
Hmm.
find like water. It finds a gap, and connects and understands stuff. When you put brick walls up, that realization won't come. Frustration will come instead.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. That's exactly right. And that is what flow is, it's allowing your mind to be like water and to go around. Um and so that it can be in that relaxed state where the answers come and you're able to be in the moment. And, maybe there were brick walls in the past, but once you work through them, the water just goes over them and around them.
And here's another thing I've realised as well, learnt from somewhere. When you think positively, you radiate a positive vibration and energy. Um,
Mhm.
and I've said to people who were going for job interviews, I said, have absolute conviction in your mind and imagine yourself shaking their hand and smiling, and you will get the job. And very often they have. And that's because the interviewers were looking around the interview room and they could see who was the most positive. Even though it wasn't obvious, they kind of felt. And after the interview, you probably um, witnessed this as well. The interviewers are like, there's just something about that person. I feel they're right for the job. They don't even know why. They have no idea why. It's the positive energy, isn't it, that's coming off that person.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
conviction.
It's the
Mm,
energy, the subconscious. And so often, when we're in a rational place, we forget that we actually have four bodies. We have our energetic body, we have our subconscious mind, our conscious mind, and we have our physical, state of being, our physical body. And so often people just think with their rational minds and their
mm,
physical bodies, and they
mm,
forget that we have this aura, this energy field, that is actually scientifically provable. It's your heart has an electromagnetic rate
yeah.
that actually is able to manifest. I think it's at like 26 times the power of your brain, something like that. Um, and so our heart is putting out this energy field. Our subconscious mind is creating this reality. And our subconscious mind drives 95% of our actions. So often we think of ourselves as these experienced, rational people who make very rational decisions, but actually we are making those rational decisions based on the experiences and the knowledge in our subconscious mind, the beliefs that are embedded there. And so if people are working on outdated beliefs, maybe that they don't agree with, that they formed during childhood or in the past,
Mm,
um,
yeah.
that's when
Mm.
their reality isn't going to align with their desires.
It's complicated, but also easy to understand when you get it. It's almost like we're arguing with ourselves constantly. The inner self is like, no, do this, and the conscious one, the one with all the senses and ability to see what's going on, is like, no.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And we have so many different parts of ourselves as well that, different memories, different experiences that are expressing themselves. And so when you go in to rewire your neural pathways and to, make your subconscious mind agree with what you kind of rationally agree with, that's when you feel that full bodied yes. And to go back to that state of flow, that's when you're able to enter fully into that state of being in the here and the now, because you don't have all of these different voices conflicting from these different ages. You're just able to enter into the here and now with, it feels like your truest self, your truest sense of being,
And
truest expression of you.
absolute. And when we see the Olympics, that and it becomes clear now, you can see the athletes, they have this 5 or 10 second spell at the start of their move or throwing of the javelin or the run where they are getting into that flow state.
Mhm.
So based on what you've said, they're emptying their mind totally of any doubt, but what if, any of that, and replacing it with absolute conviction so that their body can go, right, full speed ahead.
Mhm.
That's basically it, isn't it? That's what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, it's basically it. They have to be in that state of flow, and it's something that to create that extra magic that it takes to create something amazing, whether it's winning that race or creating a great work of art, you have to be able to be into that state of flow so that the magic, the subconscious wisdom can carry you.
And we see it in boxing as well. When they goad each other, each player is looking for that little hint that the other person has some doubt. And that's what they will use in the fight against them, I guess. It's all that kind of gameplay.
Oh, wow, I love that because it again goes to the subconscious, and that's our intuition, because someone may not consciously be thinking that's what they're doing, but their subconscious mind knows, let's find that, um, little crack in the armor
Yeah.
and use that against them. It's
Mm,
brilliant.
mm. It's addictive to think of all these things and try and work them out. And then remember them. Epiphanies are sometimes they feel like enemies because you remember one, you're like, oh, that was really good. And then the next morning or whenever it is, you're kind of disappointed because you're like, I need to remember that thing. It's the feeling that you're trying to get hold of, I think,
Mhm.
you know?
Oh, that's so true, and when we let pressure creep in, that takes us out of that state of flow, and so, if you've had this epiphany and then you wake up and you're like, "Oh, why can't I get back to it?" You're creating that separation with this pressure, and that makes an even greater distance.
Yeah. And I've found that when I try and remember a dream and immediately make the effort to not remember it and relax and empty my head, bang, it comes back.
Mhm.
It's like a bird. If you stop waving your arms and just stay still, it'll come back. It'll come and feed. Similar thing, I guess. Um, so Molly, thank you so much for this chat. Really, really, we could literally spend another hour or two delving into all of the epiphanies and subjects to do with it, couldn't we? I'll leave the information after the chat for people to look at so they can go and visit your website. Um, is there an email address that they can contact you on as well?
Oh, absolutely. Hello, Molly at flowmagic.org.
There we go. Yes, please do. I'm sure you're okay accepting questions on anything we've said, any of your courses, any of your offers on there, and we'll look forward to seeing the kind of reaction we get to this chat.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, Carl. This has been like such a delight and such a privilege.
Likewise. Yeah, thank you so
Absolutely
much for your
awesome.
time.
Thank you so much.
Brilliant. All right, we'll see you again with another subject soon. And everyone, please tune in for more culture, lifestyle, and wealth topics from music to literature to the arts to travel, even fashion. Okay, see you soon and
Thank
goodbye.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.